given to me by an elderly gentleman, friend of the family, and he just knew me and my daughter liked horses, and said, would I like it? And I said, yes, thank you very much, and put it up on the sort of shelf and that.
But you've looked at it ever since?
Yeah.
The animalier movement traces back to Antoine Louis Barye, whose tiger devouring a Gayville took a medal at the Paris Salon of 1831, the first time a life-sized animal bronze had been seriously considered as fine art in France. Barye's circle taught a generation that animals belonged on plinths, not behind ornament. Louis de Monard arrived 2 generations later, when industrial sandcasting had perfected the surface textures you are looking at now.
And by the early 20th century, which is when this was done, I think they really got it right. I just like the way he's observed the whole thing of getting the leading rein stuck around the leg, and then it comes all the way back here, and there's a drape going over. So in terms of actually how you observe a horse, absolutely brilliant. Now, if you were a betting lady and wanted to put money on the horses, what would you think he'd romp home at in terms of value?
Hopefully maybe £500, but I don't know.
You could probably add a nought to that.
Pardon?
Yeah, I think you could certainly add a nought to that. I think we should be looking more on the region, certainly from an insurance point of view, of 5,000.
Eleanor Velasco Thornton was Lord Montague of Beaulieu's secretary and the great love of his life, an affair that lasted 13 years and was an open secret in Edwardian motoring society. Her face was already mounted on Montague's own Rolls-Royce when Charles Sykes adapted it for the production mascot in 1911. Thornton drowned 3 years after that, when the SS Persia was torpedoed off Crete in December 1915. The figure she modelled has crowned every Rolls-Royce that left the factory since.
Where did you get her from?
We bought it at an auction in New Jersey. We lived there for 5 years, and we bought it in 1987. It was an auction of Chinese things mostly, but this was one odd item there, which we spotted. It was not listed as the Spirit of Ecstasy.
It wasn't?
It was just a bronze figure.
Well, she certainly catches the eye. I mean, you couldn't really avoid seeing her, could you?
Not at all.
But very few people at the auction, actually.
Your lucky day.
Yes, it was.
Okay. What did you pay for it, as a matter of interest?
About $800.
$800. 1988?
That was about
87.
£400.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's a wonderful bronze figure. Bronze figures of this size were actually used by Rolls-Royce for their main showrooms, as a showroom model, if you like. Rolls-Royce, I believe, only know of about 9 or 10 of these models. But the interesting thing here is this particular one is numbered, what is that number?
28.
28. So it may well be that there were more than 9 or 10 actually made. I think the records were lost during the war. The only other thing is that there are a tremendous number of facsimiles around, not just of bronze, which this is, and you can hear it, but also of plaster, coloured to look like bronze. Yes. It's very difficult to know without a really good provenance whether this is...
Showroom castings of this scale were never intended for a car. They sat on plinths in Conduit Street and on Fifth Avenue, sized to be visible through plate glass windows from the pavement. Many of the firm's earliest production records did not survive the Second World War. Numbered showroom bronzes have appeared at auction only a handful of times in the past 40 years. The type is genuinely scarce, not merely rare.
What about value? The facsimiles, the later castings, are not worth a huge amount of money. And they can fetch anywhere between £800 and £1,200. If we were able to prove that this was absolutely genuine, that it came out of a dealer's showroom, then the likelihood is it could be worth £8,000 to £10,000.
Wow.
So it may well pay you to do a little bit of...
This video is brought to you by Velqo, the antique identifier app. Snap a photo of any item and Velqo gives you an instant identification and a value estimate from its database of millions of antiques and collectibles. Available free on the App Store and Google Play. Now back to the appraisals.
I mean, this girl, to me, looks as though she should have had a walk-on part as a Star Wars princess.
Yes.
Don't you think so?
Very much so.
Because the thing about Godiargo is that he is such a dramatic sculptor. And he's very happy to include plenty of...
Demetre Chiparus left Romania for Paris in 1912 and studied under Antonin Mercy at the École des Beaux-Arts. By the mid-1920s, he was supplying chryselephantine figures, bronze fused with carved ivory, to the galleries on the Rue Saint-Honoré. The 1929 Wall Street crash erased his market overnight. He died in poverty in Paris in 1947. Today, his finest figures clear £200,000 at Sotheby's, London.
If she was a car, she'd be a Rolls-Royce.
Oh, good.
Okay. The last selection of Godiva bronze I remember turning up in London were sold as part and parcel of the Elton John collection.
Oh, okay.
So you're in good company, actually, when it comes to collecting pedigree.
Yeah.
They tend in the main to be desirable, consequently expensive. So I'll start with Australian dollars this time and say you're looking nearer 48,000 Australian. We're talking about £20,000 sterling.
Oh my God, that's...
Napoleon's column rose in the place Vendome in 1810, cast from the metal of 1,200 Russian and Austrian cannon captured at Austerlitz. The Paris Commune toppled it in 1871 with the painter Gustave Courbet directing the rope crew. Courbet was later jailed for the destruction and bankrupted paying the restoration bill. He fled to Switzerland and died there in 1877, owing the French state more than 300,000 francs.
Found, yes, that he was a replica of Napoleon in the Place de Vendome in Paris.
Exactly. And the column is cast from captured cannon. All of this on Napoleon's column is spiralling victories, all cast in sectional pieces this sort of size. A fantastic achievement. This is sheet bronze, modelled on the Trajan victory column in Rome.
Right.
Which showing these sort of spiralling battle scenes here, but the quality of the casting is just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And one of the fascinating things about it is it was constructed by Napoleon to commemorate the Battle of Austerlitz, which was in 1805, and it's dated on the front as 1805, modelled on Trajan's column, which is in Rome. And the beauty of the original, and also the beauty of this, is the detail is staggering. One of the things I find fascinating about all monuments and statues is over their history, emperors and rulers and kings and queens go into favour, they come out of favour. And with this, at the end of the Napoleonic Wars, he was obviously out of favour.
Yeah.
So what do? Attach ropes to it and try and pull it down. And purely on size and scale, I don't think this is something you would buy on your...
Napoleon's column was modelled on Trajan's victory column in Rome, completed 1,800 years earlier, in 113 AD. The Roman original is hollow inside. An internal spiral staircase climbs to the top, where a statue of St. Peter replaced Trajan's own figure in 1588 under Pope Sixtus V. Napoleon meant his column to do the same job for the French Empire, and despite being toppled by the Commune, it now stands 216 years on the same Paris square.
Because it's a real statement piece. It is a tricky one to value, but I would say easily at auction, comfortably 20 to 30,000.
That's very nice. Yes.
No, I inherited it from my father, who in turn inherited it from his mother.
Came back with Hatfield.
Came back with Hatfield.
Okay, so you knew it's Russian.
Nikolai Lieberich was court sculptor under Tsar Alexander II and rode out with the heir, the future Alexander III, on imperial hunting parties through the 1860s. His patron the Tsar was killed by anarchist bombers on a St. Petersburg embankment in 1881. Lieberich himself died only 2 years later. His plaster models passed to the Imperial Bronze Foundry, which kept casting from them well into the 1920s, a generation after both the sculptor and the Tsar he had served were gone.
Which does sadly affect the value, which brings us neatly onto the question of their worth. This one is probably in the region at auction of £2,000 to £4,000. If it weren't so highly polished, you could have doubled those figures. The Lieberich is, again, quite highly polished. So I think that one at auction is only 20 to 40,000.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next. And there are plenty more incredible appraisals waiting for you on the channel, go check them out.